You guys have heard me use the word intentional a few times now, and this is super key to part of the Breathe, Pray, Worship, and it's going to tie into our Lenten devotional today. And one of the things that happens when we talk about emotional trauma, right? We have, like, life is going on, we have normal, and then our normal is interrupted, and that creates a crisis. It weighs on our emotions, stresses us, whatnot. Once we get through that, we usually learn a new normal. Now, there's no guarantee. Health isn't part of this, right? Whether your original normal was healthy or unhealthy, or your new normal is healthy or unhealthy. And that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit today. I think, too, when our normal is interrupted in a significant way, and we're just dismayed, right? We don't know what to do. And my interruption was my divorce. We have an opportunity also. How do we want to create our new normal? I think what happens a lot of times is what we do is we survive the crisis and we just get used to whatever's afterwards. We're not necessarily intentional about making our new normal healthy. It's just our new normal. And a lot of times I think we settle for a new unhealthy, but we just normalize it. And so I knew I needed to get healthy for my kids. I knew I needed to get healthy for me. And I didn't really know what to do. I actually had 3 examples of what not to do. All right. So I had 3 friends, all within the Christian faith community, who had also been through a divorce, some recently and whatnot. But so I had one friend who really was just super depressed through his divorce and separation. At one point, his kids visiting him even said, like, "Dad, we love you, but we don't necessarily want to spend time with you because you're just so sad all the time." And while I didn't know what to do or how to handle or process this, I knew I needed to not do that because I was worried about my relationship with my kids. I had another friend who literally lost herself in a bottle for about 4 years and just really unhealthy. And I really felt like I was losing so much. There was no way I could lose another 4 years to this. And so I didn't know what to do again, but I knew I didn't want to do that. Third friend of my example of what not to do was just super bitter through the whole process: divorce, separation, distribution of wealth and assets, and debt. And it's just every time he talked, it was about getting her. It was almost like I could see the poison, this green toxic cloud coming from his mouth. And everything was just venomous and bitter. And I was like, man, I don't know what to do, but I don't want to do that. And so I became super intentional about figuring out how to make it through this emotional crisis healthy. And in a lot of ways, I don't think this is what the church does well, right? Our focus is constantly on how do we save marriages, and I'm all for that. I wanted to do the work, counseling, all that jazz. But when that doesn't work, how does the church really surround people to help them get through the most tragic part of their lives healthy? And because divorce is taboo, because our goal is marriage, we don't actually talk about that a lot. And so that's what Breathe, Pray, Worship's going to talk about. How do you make it through emotionally challenging, taboo church things in a way that's healthy? I want to read this verse to you out of 1 Corinthians 9, verse 24. And it says this: "Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we are imperishable. So I do not run aimlessly. I do not box at one beating the air. but I discipline my body and I keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. This verse just really, I like the language of it. I do not run aimlessly. I do not just throw punches at the air. In order to get healthy, spiritually, emotionally, I knew I had to be intentional. And if I was going to be intentional, this led to our first principle. I knew I had to do the work. I didn't know what it was. It was a process of figuring it out. It was stumbling. It was falling at times. I definitely, it was a road. It was a journey. But we did learn some things. But it has to start with this intentional choice to do the work. And so no matter where you are, spiritually, maybe your normal is healthy. Maybe you're at that crisis moment when your normal is interrupted. Or maybe you're already on that journey of creating. What does a new normal for you look like? Post-tragedy, post-divorce, loss, whatever. Have you settled into a new norm? Is that new norm healthy? Were you intentional about how you were going to create that new normal? Our first principle that we learned in this journey of health post-divorce: do the work. It'll be hard. It will suck. You will not always get it right. Do the work. There's no shortcuts to this.